When you're in the thick of applying to medical school, like you've started brainstorming for your personal statement, you're writing all these essays, maybe you're juggling MCAT studying, it can feel really chaotic. And also sometimes you might submit your primary application and hindsight's 2020 and you're like, oh, I wish 6 months out from applying when things were a little less crazy, I would have done X and my application would have been so much better. And now I'm like so mad at myself. So this video is 5 things that I did/recommend to do when you're gearing up to apply. So the season before you are even thinking about sitting down and writing your personal statement, starting your essays, etc. So the perfect time is the fall before you're applying. And I know that season can still be really busy because you might have a full load of classes, a full busy semester, or you're just working and you have a million commitments. But I promise all 5 of these things are small things that will take you 10 minutes tops, let's say, okay? And you're gonna be thanking yourself so much if you do it. And I'm really happy that I did these things before things got really crazy. So if you're new here, my name's Maggie. I'm a 4th year medical student at the University of Colorado. And the second time I applied, I got 10 medical school acceptances, which is still crazy to say, despite a 3.3 GPA, but there's a lot of ups and downs to get to that point. Obviously didn't get in the first time that I applied. So this YouTube, It's Life of Maggie, is just sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. So with this video, I also, I usually despise making sit down videos, but I truly have so much info I want to share with you guys. So I'm gonna take this in one take, except for the first one where the video didn't work. So this is actually the second take, but everything's working now. And it's gonna be like one of those cozy videos where you could listen to it on your commute or sit down with a cup of tea or something, and it'll just be like a chat. Because if I find a way to make making the videos a little more enjoyable, then I can share all that I want to share with you guys. So let's get started. One, these are in like a random order. First thing, or what I did that was a huge impact on like being way more successful the second time I applied, was that I sat down and was like, okay, what are my strengths and weaknesses of my application? And from the weaknesses side, what am I gonna hyper focus on turning into a strength? So for me, that was the fact that I had 0 clinical experience, but I had already had an EMT certification and from like a couple years prior, and I hadn't shadowed in like 4+ years at the time of sitting down. So for the clinical experience, I quit my nanny job and applied to EMT jobs. I tried to be a phlebotomist, but it kept getting canceled, so that didn't work out. I already had my EMT certification, so I was like, okay, I'll just do that, and applied, got a job at AMR, and bam, then 9 months of clinical experience. By the time I was submitting my primary applications, it was like amazing. Then for shadowing, I just got really scrappy. Honestly, yes, it's hard to find shadowing, but I guess this isn't the video for like how I went about finding it, but I can do a video on that. You let me know in the comments. But if you need shadowing, you can find it. You just gotta be really persistent and scrappy. So I was scrappy and I was able to shadow a couple times with a PM&R doc 2 times before COVID hit. So I just squeezed it in and that was great. So I was able to do those. So if you're not sure like what to do, like as far as like, I don't know what my weaknesses are, it's okay, because number 2 is gonna be perfect for that. I learned that after the first time I recorded this video. So as far as making that pros and cons list, basically sit down, give yourself 10 minutes and just pick one thing. If you don't have any volunteering or recent volunteering or meaningful volunteering, then be like, what do I enjoy? And then find volunteering in that category. Make this stuff meaningful. And then another example, like let's say you don't have hands-on clinical experience, which I think should be your number 1 priority. Like if you're watching this 2 years out and you haven't been able to fit in, then check out advanced clinical training for online certifications, and then you'll be able to find a job super easy. But if you're 6 or 9 months out, then I would like hyper focus and try to find clinical volunteering, because then you won't need a certification. And if you have 6-9 months time to work on it, you should be able to find something in your area that involves blood pressures or like direct patient care is what you're looking for. So sit down for 10 minutes, decide what you're gonna focus on improving and turning into a strength, and do it while you're not in the thick of it. Number 2 is my favorite podcast ever. I tell everybody about this. I'm such a nerd, but I think it's just absolute gold. And that is to just get in a habit on your daily commute or whenever you're in the car, at least listen to this a few times a week, is put on the podcast All Access Med School Admissions. It's where an admissions committee member of Case Western's med school interviews, a bunch of admissions committees at other med schools, and then literally the whole hour is them talking about, hey, what can applicants do to be successful when applying to your school? What do successful applicants look like? What do you look for in the personal statement? Just gold. Best podcast ever. Please start listening to it now. And then going back to tip 1 of like making that strengths and weaknesses list and deciding what you're going to work on improving just a little bit over time. This podcast will give you ideas. You might not have realized, oh, they're looking for that, or oh, I didn't realize, like, just you'll have so many ideas. So maybe this one should have been first, but yeah, if you don't already know what your weaknesses are, then listen to that podcast, get into the habit. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. Number 3 is to make sure you know how much applying to medical school is going to cost, unless your parents are just like, it doesn't matter how much it costs, I'll send you the money when you need it. If that's not the case, then I just posted a video on breaking down the cost of how much it costs to apply to medical school, and I have a blog post about it. Watch that video, it'll take 10 minutes, then you'll know. And if paying for applications is all on you, then you can make a plan to budget between now and then, and you're starting early, so it'll all be fine. And yeah, don't want to be surprised about that last minute. Number 4 is to journal. So I have a list of 21 journaling prompts, and this will make it super easy. You'll thank yourself so much when you do sit down to write your essays, because I have another whole video on this, but using stories is super important, and it's going to be so hard to think of stories if you start from nothing. If you start journaling now, I have prompts where it's like daily prompts, so you could, like, every time you come home, just pull up those prompts and, like, for 10 minutes, just write about the day. Pick one of those prompts and write 2 sentences answering the prompt. If you start doing that when you come home from your extracurriculars, you're gonna thank yourself so much. I cannot express to you how much you're gonna be so happy that you have this bank of stories to use, or like at least memories, that things like, yeah, you won't forget about it. Anyway, then there's some for personal statement, and then there's some more reflective prompts. So if once a week you just want to sit down for 10 minutes and answer a reflective prompt about something you did like 2 years ago. So over time, you can build up those stories from like older extracurriculars instead of having to do it all at once you start your essays. Highly recommend. Okay, and then lastly is to download my free PreMed Planner. Even if you think you know everything about the application timeline, then just download it, look at it for 2 seconds, and you're like, yep, I already knew that. But like, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's totally free. My PreMed Planner, it'll give you like monthly to-dos of what to do each month, so you can just take a glance at that now and be like, okay, cool, yeah, like try to mentally prepare for where you're gonna be doing each month. Also, all the deadlines are in there, and then if you read anything and you're like, what the heck is that? Like the preview or the Casper, or I don't know, what is ACOMAS versus AMCAS, then you can click on the resources there and just read more about it. And the earlier you know, the better, instead of it's like May and you're like, what? Or it's like July and you still don't know that the Casper is a thing. Let me know in the comments what you plan to start with or what you're gonna do. Thanks for watching this video. It's a little chaotic. My phone's about to die and I really did not want to have to record this a 3rd time. And yeah, be sure to watch. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.